Hey guys, it is me. It's Saturday. You guys know why I'm here. So, without further ado, I want to get this live stream over with within at least an hour and 10 minutes tops. So, let's get on with the show. The week, as always, started out with Monday Night Raw. This Monday Night Raw, they were still in Saudi Arabia. They decided to tape the Monday Night Raw episode this week from Saudi Arabia. They were in Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel this past weekend. It was it was sort of a mid show with some really good matches, but rather mid for a Saudi show that are usually on par with like WrestleMania shows, and as far as like the star power they try to bring in. I'd say that Night of Champions, this year's Night of Champions at Survivor Series was more of what I expected from a Saudi PLE. But this Friday Monday Night Raw is from Saudi Arabia. They're still in Saudi Arabia. The opening was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They were there to celebrate Liv Morgan becoming the first ever Women's Crown Jewel champion. Bianca and Jade Cargill interrupted proceedings. Liv Morgan proceeded to insult Bianca and Jade and she had the guts and the gall to say that the only reason why they're even friends and the only reason why they're even on the same page is because of the tag team titles. And if it wasn't for those tag team titles, they would have broken up a long time ago. Well, sorry Liv, but they lost their tag team titles at Clash at the Castle. And in the months leading up to them gaining back the tag team titles, not once did we ever see them not on the same page. So I don't know why you're saying right now that if it wasn't for the tag team titles, and if they didn't hold those tag team titles, they wouldn't be friends. Well, they were friends when they didn't have the titles. They were friends when they won the titles, and then they were friends when they lost the titles. Still friends when they lost the titles. Looks like you're trying to grasp at straws because you see that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are possible challengers for your title, and obviously you don't want to face them. So you're trying to drive a wedge between them so that they'll start fighting with each other instead of fighting you. Obviously, Liv Morgan kept egging Bianca on until she just decided to just slap the taste right out of Liv Morgan's mouth. Bianca said, if you guys want a shot at our tag team titles, we can do it right here, right now. Adam Pearce then came out to say, no, that match isn't happening. This tag team match you're proposing ain't happening because there's going to be a number one contenders match, Battle Royal, to determine Liv Morgan's next opponent for her women's title. More than likely at Survivor Series, maybe. At one point in the match, though, this match lasted about 12 minutes. At one point in the match, Liv Morgan Bianca Belair was on the verge of potentially getting eliminated. Liv Morgan then tries to help with that, but then Jade starts pulling, and it's like a tug of war between Liv Morgan and Jade Cargill. Eventually, both Jade and Bianca are eliminated with the assistance of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They were not happy. They immediately started going after Liv and Raquel, and Liv and Raquel were like, oops, we need to get out of here. Like, oh shit, we fucked up bad. But hey, it is what it is. eventually it came down to Lyra Valkyria and Io Sky. Io Sky, at one point at the end of the match, they were both on the apron, but then Io Sky performed a suplex of sorts onto the apron, which caused Lyra to fall down to the floor. That means that Io Sky is now the #1 contender for Liv Morgan's Women's World Championship, and she will have that match. Don't know when it will be. Maybe it's at Survivor Series War Games. Who knows? But it should actually be a decent match. I don't think Liv loses to Io. Maybe, I don't know. But Io, I don't think, is winning the Women's World title from Liv. I still feel like the end game for them is Rhea taking the title off Liv, because of all that Liv did, injuring Rhea to begin with, and then when Rhea came back, Liv took everything from Rhea, including the Judgment Day, Dirty Dom, and then most recently on NXT television, last week's NXT, not this week's, but last week's NXT, she was attacked by Liv and Raquel in the parking lot of the NXT arena, of the Performance Center / NXT arena. So it is what it is. I still believe that the end game for Liv is taking the title off of her. That's my prediction. Next up, we got Wyatt Six and The Miz. Wyatt Six had taken Miz hostage after last week, and Karrion Kross is looking for him. They showed some footage right before Miz and Karrion Kross actually came on screen, and they had Wyatt, Uncle Howdy speaking, and they were showing footage from from 2017, when Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas talking to Miz. This was, I'm guessing, when he was recruiting them to be the Miztourage, which I actually thought was pretty genius, because it makes sense for them to use past footage of Miz and Bo Dallas actually having a conversation. Because yes, Bo Dallas and The Miz were paired together in 2017 with Curtis Axel as the Miztourage. Miz told Howdy that you've got the wrong person. You should be going after the final. Aren't you going after the Final Testament? But Wyatt, Uncle Howdy, made it pretty clear that they were never after the Wyatt Six. They were never after the Final Testament. They were always after Miz and Miz only. The only problem with that is that the Final Testament, especially Karrion Kross, has got it in his head that Miz owes Karrion Kross, basically for Paul Ellering taking the fall for him a couple of weeks ago. So if I know Karrion Kross like I think I know him, Karrion Kross is not just going to let the Wyatt Six get away with what they did. Whether Wyatt Six wanted to fight Final Testament or not, whether they were targeting Final Testament or not, that's not gonna. Yeah, Karrion Kross doesn't care. He's gonna bring the fight to the Wyatt Six, whether they wanted it or not. But I thought it was pretty cool to see. It was definitely a good segment and desperately needed. Then we get, also right before this happened, we had the New Day was being interviewed before their match against the War Raiders. Xavier Woods is increasingly upset because of what happened in the Triple Threat Tag Team match, where they got pinned, where they lost the match to become #1 contenders. The War Raiders got that won the match, so they're the number one contenders for the Judgment Day's tag team titles. This week we got the New Day versus the War Raiders, and the New Day, obviously the New Day lost, mostly due to some confusion in the New Day's offense near the end of the match. Because Kofi Kingston at one point at the end of the match looked like he was going for Trouble in Paradise. Xavier wanted to tag in so he could do, I guess, an elbow shot or whatever he was wanting to do, but it failed miserably, and the New Day lost due to miscommunication. Obviously, this is leading towards either Xavier Woods or Kofi Kingston heel turn. I feel like Kofi Kingston is just too much of a babyface to be a believable heel. But I've seen Xavier in TNA as Consequences Creed, and I think he was a heel at times, and I think he would make the better heel out of the two, and I'm pretty sure that's where they're going, because Xavier Woods is the only one who has shown even the least bit of frustration with his team, with Kingston and just the New Day in general, for just coming up short in almost every match they're a part of as of late. This match also, it lasted about 10 minutes. It was actually a very good match for what it was, just 10 minutes, but it was good. And obviously the War Raiders won. It is what it is. Then we get Jimmy and Jey Uso. Obviously, what happened at Crown Jewel was that Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso took on the new bloodline of Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and Solo Sikoa at Crown Jewel, with Tonga Loa at ringside. Obviously, the new bloodline beat the OG bloodline, with Solo pinning Roman. And tonight, and then after the match, though, the new bloodline would attack the OG bloodline. Sami Zayn came out to help Jey Uso, and he made that pretty clear tonight on Raw that the only reason why he came out was to save Jey, and only Jey. At one point, Solo Sikoa was lined up to take a shot from any one of the four members of the old bloodline that were in the ring. Sami Zayn went for a haluva kick. Solo got out of the way, and so Sami would accidentally kick Roman in the face. And so that's the reason why he was out there on Raw, to talk about that and to talk about just the bloodline in general. Sami made some good points that Jey had the reason why Jey's here, and the only reason why Jey is the main event Jey so that he is now, is because he felt he needed to get away from Roman, felt he needed to get away from the bloodline's drama. That's why he left. And he also left because Roman was treating him like crap for the majority of the time that he was in the bloodline. And then the reason why Sami Zayn made it clear that he didn't want to get involved is because, he didn't want to go through what he knows what Jey went through. He went through the same things with Jey that Jey went through when he stabbed Roman in the back, basically, with a steel chair. We all know how that went. And so this was a great segment. And when Jey Uso invited Sami Zayn to come to Friday Night SmackDown to talk to Roman Reigns and to at least maybe hash out all of these frustrations that Sami's been having. Hey, Jeffrey, thanks. Anybody that wants to, that's coming in here for the first time today, if you would like to hit that like button, feel free to do so. Never required, but I would appreciate it. Also, if you want to share out the live stream, if you are able to do that, also feel free to do so. Never required, but I always appreciate it. Oh wow, 3 likes so far. That's good. If we can get it to maybe at the very least 6, 7 likes, give or take, I will be fine with that. But hey, I appreciate it. And let's get on with the show. We got a Seth Rollins interview. Yeah, I know, Danny. It's okay. I know from what I heard, a lot of Democrats were not actually happy and they wanted, recount, because I guess in their minds, they feel like the only way Trump could have ever won is if he cheated. But, and as much as I don't like the guy, and I probably never will, but as much as I don't like Trump, I am willing to let the results stay as they are, and I am willing to accept the results. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to hope and pray that he does slip up, which he probably will, and when he does, I will be the first to say, I told you so. But we'll see if it ever gets to that. Hey, Austin, thank you for coming, and I'm guessing you are the 4th like. Thank you. If we can get this to at least 6 or 7 likes, maybe 10, I would really appreciate it. Seth Rollins, he was being interviewed backstage before his match in the main event, which was to be a number 1 contenders match for Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. Well, it's not that she wasn't able to before. But I get it. Oh, profile picture. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Why? The main event, let's see. Dragon Lee taking on Chad Gable. This was actually a very good match. 11 minutes. There was maybe one spot that was a little bit of a botched spot, a little slip up. But other than that, the match was very good. Hey, Aaron. And hey, Austin, no need to be sorry ever on my channel, because you don't ever have to say sorry on my channel. I will talk about that. Danny, I don't know if you're here, but I will talk about ECW NXT. I will talk about it because I've been waiting for that. I was waiting for that to air so I could watch it, and I actually, yeah. Oh yeah. This past Wednesday, NXT live from the 2300 arena, the old ECW arena where all the ECW shows were held. And it was a very good show. I will talk to you guys about it when I get to it. Dragon Lee with Chad Gable. This match went about 11 minutes. Dragon Lee, though, won, even with distractions by the rest of Alpha Academy. American Made. At one point, Ivy Nile had Zelina Vega in a dragon sleeper hold. But then Rey Mysterio came out to help even the odds. This allowed Dragon Lee to win. We had a Gunther interview. Gunther was interviewed. After this, we got Gunther backstage in an interview. He talked about Crown Jewel. He said that as much as he hates to admit it, Cody Rhodes was the fair winner at Crown Jewel. He did get his shoulders pinned to the mat. This time it wasn't a botched pin like it was at the last time Gunther was in a match in Saudi Arabia with Randy Orton, but then also, as Gunther was saying this, Ludwig Kaiser did not look like he was all too happy that Gunther was saying this. Yeah, I saw your comment, Austin. Gunther Kaiser did not seem really happy that Gunther was just conceding like that and was just admitting that he lost. Because Gunther has made it pretty clear that he doesn't accept failure when it comes to Imperium. So the fact that he is accepting failure at not being able to beat Cody Rhodes, that's something new for Gunther. Something we haven't seen. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. You didn't get to watch it, Austin. The ECW episode? Yeah, if you want to watch it, just go to the CW app if you have it. If you have like a smart TV, it should have all of the streaming apps you could ever need on there for you to be able to. And it has our TV in our living room is a smart TV, so it has all the streaming apps, YouTube, Peacock, the top apps that I use like Tubi, Peacock, and CW, and it basically allows, and so it's on the CW app, and I can watch it basically anytime I want, NXT whenever I want. If I want to rewatch an episode that I've already seen, I'll just watch it. We got the LWO backstage after the match between Dragon Lee and Chad Gable. Yeah, it is what it is. Also, now we got the main event: Sheamus versus Dominic Mysterio versus Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins. #1 contenders match for Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. Now there's rumors that Damian Priest, this match lasted about 14 minutes. At one point it looked like Seth Rollins was going to win, but then all of a sudden Bronson Reed comes out and just attacks Seth Rollins. He then even attacks Sheamus and Damian Priest, which I don't know why, because his issues right now are with Seth Rollins. But then he did do a tsunami to Seth Rollins through the announce table. Damian Priest was able to pin Dominic Mysterio to win the match, which I think was probably the best decision, because I totally knew when they announced that Dominic was going to be involved in this match, I thought to myself, Dominic is taking the pin. Whoever wins this match, Dominic is taking the pin. He's not winning. He's obviously there to take the pin, and he took the pin from Damian Priest, which I honestly knew that was going to happen. But it was a great match anyways. That's about 14 minutes. And Damian Priest versus Gunther Part 2 is rumored to be happening at the upcoming Saturday night's main event show, which I'm excited for that. It'll be on NBC. Which means I will be able to watch it. I'll be able to watch it. Then again, it might also be on Peacock. It'll also be on Peacock. If I can't watch it, then it'll probably be on Peacock, since Peacock is basically an NBC affiliate, and they have a lot of NBC stuff on Peacock. So, who knows? Hopefully I can watch it live. No, that's not tonight. The Saturday night's main event, it's coming up in December. I can't remember the exact date, but it's in December. And within the first 2 weeks of December. But yeah. But then that's Monday Night Raw for you. This week's Monday Night Raw was a good show. If I had to rate Monday Night Raw, I would rate it a 8 out of 10. 7.5. It was really good. With the women's Battle Royal match to determine #1 contender, maybe they could have found another way to find a #1 contender. The White Six Miz little segment was good. New Day versus War Raiders was good. Dragon Lee versus Chad Gable was great. So was the main event. Jey Uso, Jim Uso, Sami Zayn segment was really good because it needed to happen. We needed to get Sami Zayn eventually involved in this. Yes, I did, and I'm not sure what their plans are for the title. If they plan on just keeping it exclusive to SmackDown, or if they're gonna keep it interchangeable between both brands. I mean, I feel like if it's interchangeable and it's going to go through both brands, I think that's better because I would like it to be just. I don't know if WWE can sustain two mid-card women's titles, let alone two women's main titles, because they barely have enough women to challenge for the women's and women's world titles. Yeah, I'm hoping that this is just one title, mid-card title for the women across both brands. I'm hoping, but we'll see what happens. And now on to NXT. Now, NXT this week was not on Tuesday. NXT this week went head-to-head with Dynamite as it emanated from the old ECW arena, the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We had a ton of cameo appearances and appearances from old ECW superstars like the opening of the show was Ridge Holland and Ethan Page. They both expressed their wishes to go after the NXT title. I do not know why Ethan Page is still seemingly wants that title back. He lost the title to Trick Williams and then seemingly lost his rematch clause at Halloween Havoc. I'm like, dude, Ethan Page, go to the back of the line. You've gotten your opportunity. Now, obviously, Ethan Page is that type of egotistical heel who just will never accept defeat and who will never accept losing and will constantly demand a title shot that he does not deserve, simply because he just can't see himself not being champion. Obviously, Ethan Page is still furious over the fact that he's no longer the NXT champion, but what I say to him is move on. You lost your title, and then you lost the rematch for your title. You don't get another shot. If anything, Ridge Holland deserves a shot because he actually won his match at Halloween Havoc, an ambulance match against Andre Chase. That's what I say. That's what I say to Ethan Page. But yeah, they were in a tag team match tonight, this episode of NXT, against Trick Williams and former ECW superstar Bubba Ray Dudley. One of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history, the Dudley Boys. Now, Devon Dudley did make an appearance on this show in the post-match shenanigans after the Trick Williams, Bubba Dudley versus Ridge Holland, Ethan Page tag team match, which I think main evented this show, either that or the 10-woman tag team match. I can't remember which match actually main evented the show. After this, though, we got Wesley and RVD backstage segment. RVD was backstage, and Wesley, out of nowhere, decided to take a steel chair, very ECW on brand, and whacked RVD in the back. Also, Wesley was set to have a match this week, tonight, against Javon Evans. But the opening match was the opening match was Jada Parker and Lola Vice in a hardcore match with former ECW superstar and former WWE superstar Dawn Marie as the special guest referee. Now, obviously, if you guys don't know who Dawn Marie is, Dawn Marie was in, I guess, in ECW, which I didn't know, because I only remembered her in WWE from that really just weird storyline they ran in 2002, 2003, which saw Dawn Marie marry Tori Wilson's father, Al Wilson, and then Al Wilson suddenly out of nowhere just dies from a heart attack from having too much sex. Like one of the craziest, one of the weirdest storylines they ever did in the Ruthless Aggression era. But then at that time, it was still, even though it wasn't the Attitude Era, it was still like a non-PG product, and they were able to get away with weird storylines like that. But that's how I remember her. That's the only reason why I even know who Dawn Marie is, was basically that storyline. And then eventually they referred to a storyline in which Dawn Marie revealed to Tori Wilson that she actually liked Tori Wilson and wanted to sleep with her. Crazy times in WWE in 2002 or in 2003. Back when storylines were more risque and they were able to get away with a lot they would not be able to get away with in today's WWE. This match was actually it was actually the longest match of the night. When about 15 minutes, Lola Vice won the match, which I actually sort of thought was going to happen, and I kind of figured Lola Vice sort of needed this win more, because she's more of a high-profile superstar than Jada Parker, even though Jada Parker has gotten pretty good since joining up with OTM. After this match, though, we go outside to Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo and the family. Last week on NXT, Tony D'Angelo received a message from somebody who said that he wanted to do business with Tony D this week on NXT in the ECW arena in Philly. So we sort of wait to see who it is that wants to do business, and it sounded, I saw last week's episode, the message that was played, the person that was talking sounded like he had sort of an Italian sort of like accent of sorts. So I figured this might be someone with like WWE ties who was like Italian, and then I started thinking of who that might be, and then some people were already saying that it was Nunzio, or I guess as he's referred to, Little Guido. Nunzio, formerly of the FBI in WWE and ECW, full-blooded Italians. The only reason why I even know him is for a moment when he was given a last ride by The Undertaker, and Nunzio just starts doing the Catholic, like forgive me, Father, or whatever it is, like what Catholics do, the sign the Catholics make. And it's like, and that was like probably Undertaker's best last ride that he's ever done, because Nunzio sold the hell out of it. And so that's what and so we got this. So we got Nunzio on NXT television. And eventually it broke down, and Nunzio decided to challenge Tony D'Angelo to a match for the NXT North American title that same night. So we get this match. Lasts only 3 minutes. A squash match. Squash match with Tony D versus Nunzio. And after the match though, Nunzio and Tony D'Angelo, they hugged it out. And the family and Nunzio and I think it was Tony something, whoever the guy that was with him, who I'm thinking was a member of the FBI. Can't remember what they said his name was, but they all hugged it out and they all raised their hands at the end of the match. Basically, I guess a family united. Maybe this will be just a one-off appearance for Nunzio. I don't know. It would be interesting to see Nunzio appear from time to time now in this for Tony D'Angelo. I wouldn't mind seeing him back. And also, for those of you who don't know, Nunzio looked in great. For those who didn't watch the show, Nunzio looked to be in great shape. I mean, yes, he may look skinny, like he weighs like 150 pounds, but he looks like he's in better shape than most wrestlers his age. Like, he looks better than Chris Jericho does in AEW. Chris Jericho in AEW looks a little bloated. Sorry to be mean like that, but he does. And Nunzio looks like he works out just about every other day, working in the gym or something. And he looks in great shape. Why can't Chris Jericho look like that? And also, for those who don't know, NXT soundly thrashed AEW Dynamite in the ratings. So there's also that. We got Wesley versus Javon Evans. This match lasted about 10 minutes. At one point, Wesley almost looked like he had the match won, but then RVD shows up, obviously for a little bit of payback on what Wesley did to him earlier on in the show. Provided the distraction, which allowed Javon Evans to pick up the win. This match was good. There were some sloppy moments in the match, but also these are two high flyers. Of course, there's going to be maybe at least one or two sloppy bits in there, as far as botches are concerned. But nothing too dangerous, or nothing to concern ourselves with. Just some slip-ups every now and then. But it was good. I love Wesley, and I am really liking Javon Evans. I think he's definitely future superstar. Future. Also, Javon Evans has the distinction, obviously, now has the distinction basically of being the youngest NXT superstar to ever main event an NXT pay-per-view. That was obviously way back at Heatwave, which was a great show. One of the better NXT PLEs of this year. But it was good. After this, though, we got a in-ring segment with Ava Raine, Robert Stone, and Stevie Turner. Robert Stone started attacking the Philadelphia crowd and the fans that were in attendance. Started making fun of them, started poking fun, and the screen went black. And then all of a sudden, Rhino shows up out of nowhere. I didn't even expect to see Rhino there. He wasn't even advertised. But Rhino shows up, and immediately, and then 1, 2, 3, gored Robert Stone right out of his shoes. Well, I don't think he gored him right out of his shoes, but he probably could have. But it was, but man, that was funny. That was funny just to see Robert Stone get his ass whooped for lobbing insult at the crowd, at the Philadelphia crowd. But man, was it great? But was it was it fun to see him back? Oh yeah. We also got a backstage promo from Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, and Fatal Influence leading up to their 10-woman tag team match against a pretty much dream team of Stephanie Becker, Julia, Kelani Jordan, Jordan Grace of TNA, and Zarya, who is also a new NXT superstar, which I don't know much about her except she's a powerhouse, and that's probably all you need to know about her. But every single one of these, but this was a great match. Also, but then before we got that, we got a promo of sorts from we got a promo from Nikita Lyons. She revealed why she took out. It was revealed last week that Nikita Lyons had taken out Adriana Rizzo the week before the Tuesday NXT episode before Halloween Havoc, and this week we got her reasoning behind it. Behind why she did it is because she did it out of a favor for Obafemi. Apparently, Obafemi had approached her with a favor to ask if she could take out Adriana Rizzo for him. I'm guessing leading up to his match with Tony D at Halloween Havoc. So obviously she was happy to oblige, and it is what it is. It happened. So, and it now looks like she's not really a baby face right now, but she's also not really a heel. She's definitely showing heel tendencies, like she's now no longer gonna start caring about other people. She's only caring about herself now. But doesn't every superstar want to look out for themselves? We got Bubba Dudley and Trick Williams versus Ridge Holland and Ethan Page. I'm not sure which one was the main event, so I'm just going to talk about this match. This match lasted about 13 minutes. This actually was the main event, so we got this match. Ridge Holland actually pinned Trick Williams in this match to win the match for his team. Then after the match, we get Bubba and Trick taking out their frustrations on Ethan Page and Ridge Holland. Trick Williams went to get a table, couldn't find one. All of a sudden, Devon Dudley comes out with the table, and Bubba and Trick put Ethan Page and Ridge Holland through a table. And the reason why Devon didn't get involved in this is apparently because he's been injured recently and he's been recovering from that, so he was not medically cleared to participate in any shenanigans or participate in any physicality, so he didn't participate in the powerbomb through the table spot. But he was at least able to bring the table to the ring, so that was pretty cool. And then the women's 10-women tag match. Julia, Stephanie Baker, Kelani Jordan, Jordan Grace, and Zarya versus Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, and Fatal Influence. Fallon Henley, the new Women's North American title champion. Jasmine Nix and JC Jane. The heels lost this match. Can't remember who pinned who. I know Roxanne Perez got pinned, but I can't remember who pinned her. But obviously the babyfaces won. Nice little 13-minute match, which it was okay. Again, lasted around 13 minutes, so it was pretty good. NXT this week was a very good show. I think it was the best show of the week. But then I saw SmackDown and I was like, oh wow, that show was just as good. So I'm going to rate NXT tonight, this week, a 8 out of 10, because it was a very, very good show. Some good matches, great segments that forwarded certain superstars. We also, at one point backstage, we got Ava Raine with Flaxium. They were, I guess, wanting to know who their next challengers would be, and Ava basically told them, you know what? You'll find out I'll announce who your number one contenders are, who's going to be number one contenders soon for your titles. Now on to AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite was a hit and miss show this week. we have the Hurt Syndicate. We have the Hurt Business back together, minus Cedric Alexander on AEW Dynamite. On AEW television, they are now calling themselves the Hurt Syndicate, as I'm more than certain that Hurt Business is trademarked by WWE at this point, meaning that AEW can't use the Hurt Business to label this group. But it is what it is. Bobby looks great. Shelton Benjamin has looked great in the matches that he's been a part of since joining AEW. And it's hopefully this group is treated with care on AEW, because we all know that ex-WWE talent coming over to AEW doesn't always fare well for them. Keith Lee, a prime example. He's been injured a lot, though, so I don't think you can entirely say it's AEW's fault. Adam Cole, he's been misused. Hopefully Malachi Black, another superstar that's been misused, and Buddy Matthews as well. Hopefully, I don't know. But the opening of the match, the opening show opened up with Jon Moxley sending a message to Orange Cassidy in lead up to their match. They will have a match at Full Gear, I think on the 23rd. I can't remember when they said it was going to be, but it's going to be later this month in November. The opening match or segment was Adam Cole versus Malachi Black. This was a good match. When about 14 minutes, this was a match in which Adam Cole needed to win, because MJF has made the stipulation that for 2 Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, that the first to get to 3 straight wins in a row gets a shot at MJF at Full Gear, I think is what he said. At Full Gear, you'll face me at Full Gear. And this was match number 2. Obviously, Adam Cole beat Buddy Matthews last week in a match that was actually pretty good. This match was also good as well, although I will question why Adam Cole needed to kick out of the Black Mass. Why they needed Adam Cole to kick out of the Black Mass, because hardly anybody kicks out of that. And if it is, it should be reserved for a special moment. This wasn't really a special moment. This was just a match that Adam Cole needed to win in order to keep his chances of facing MJF alive. But I don't know, it is what it is. Great match. Adam Cole obviously was going to win this match. Yeah, alright. Could have lost this match and then could have gotten maybe another, then maybe could have gotten 3 more wins, maybe gone over to either Rampage or even Collision for a match. But I don't know. Malachi, but also there have been rumors Malachi is leaving AEW or is retiring. That's obviously not the case, because he took to Instagram to basically make it pretty clear that he's not injured, he's not leaving, and he's not retiring. So good luck with that. But obviously we got the Hurt Syndicate. They are in AEW. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP. Swerve Strickland came out at one point to interrupt the proceedings, and Swerve made a case. Hey, well, YouTube Dark Gaming. I don't know if I know you, but hey, thanks for showing up. Oh, and the 6th like. What I wanted was at least 6-7 likes, maybe 10, but I'll be happy with 6 if it just stays there. But thank you for showing up. If you want to hit that like button, feel free to do so. If you want to share my live stream out, if you're able to do so, feel free to do that as well. Never required, but I would appreciate it. But Swerve Strickland made a offer to Bobby Lashley for a match, laid out a challenge to Bobby Lashley for a match at Full Gear, which, I'm not mistaken, Bobby Lashley accepted. which that should be a good match. Bobby Lashley versus Swerve Strickland. That'll be the first time I feel like we've seen those two together one-on-one in a wrestling ring. Because that's the last time Swerve and Bobby Lashley were still in both in WWE. They were on different shows, and Swerve Strickland didn't last no more than a few weeks on the main roster before he was cut. And he was clearly the most entertaining member of Hit Row and the most charismatic member of Hit Row. And now Ashante the Adonis is on NXT television. B-Fab is managing the Street Profits at the moment. And AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, is in TNA doing his own thing, which he seems to be very happy with. So as long as they're all happy, I'm okay. But yes, we also got Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus I guess what they're calling themselves now, the Death Riders. I don't think they're not calling themselves the BCC anymore, I don't think. It's Death Riders. Claudio Castagnoli and Pac, 2/3 of the current AEW Trios champions, with Wheeler Yuta. This match lasted about 13 minutes or so. It ended in disqualification and a no contest after Marina Shafir and Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta interrupted the match to lay a beatdown on both Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. And the match basically ended with Jon Moxley's group standing tall again, kicking out the hapless baby faces. This storyline better have a good payoff, or else it will have all been for nothing. This Jon Moxley storyline better have a good payoff, or else all these beatdowns will have been for nothing. We also got Learning Tree versus the Conglomeration. This was like Fight Without Honor. So basically this was just a no DQ match, no disqualification match. Learning Tree versus the Conglomeration of Kyle O'Reilly. I'm guessing Rocky Romero because he's been seen with the group as of late. I've seen him with the group as of late. And Tomohiro Ishii. No, Mark Briscoe is also here. So I think it was Kyle O'Reilly, Tomohiro Ishii, and Mark Briscoe versus the Learning Tree of Chris Jericho, Brian Keith, and Big Bill. The Babyfaces won. Match that didn't even need to happen. It is what it is. We also got Jamie Hayter. We got one women's match on this night of AEW. Jamie Hayter versus Penelope Ford. This match went about 5 minutes. Wasn't even anything special. Just a match. Jamie Hayter won. Good for her. What can I say? Matches that mean nothing. Storylines that have plot holes aplenty. And people will say that AEW Dynamite is doing just fine. Yeah, right. AEW is shitting itself in the toilet. And doesn't even care. Tony doesn't even seem to care. Hangman Adam Page, he will, I think, face off against Jay White in a rematch from All Out. He will have a match at Full Gear versus Jay White. He basically what they did here was he was another beatdown moment for Hangman Adam Page and Jay White. Tried to beat up on each other before their match at Full Gear. It was what it was. It was actually a good beatdown segment. But we get so many beatdown segments in AEW nowadays with the Death Riders, with Jon Moxley's new crew, the Death Riders, basically beating up on babyfaces week in and week out. We also got Christian Cage and Hook segment. Christian Cage, obviously Hook, recently revealed the man who attacked his father in the parking lot, which is why he is kayfabe not there at the moment doing commentary, which he usually would be. and he revealed it to be Christian Cage who did it. Christian Cage, I'm guessing, from what I saw here, Christian Cage is wanting to take Hook under his wing in the patriarchy, but it's not happening. Hook isn't never going to abandon his father for Christian Cage. And then we get, which also led to another beatdown moment. A little repetitive, huh? Then we get the main event. We got the Don Callis family of Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Ricochet and his mystery tag team partner, which I'm not going to lie, I assumed it was Will Ospreay from the moment this match was announced last week. When this match was announced last week, I thought to myself, has to be Will Ospreay. It's the only guy that even makes sense at this point. He has beef with Kyle Fletcher, obviously with Don Callis family. But then a swerve came out, and it was Will Hobbs, which I also remember being a member of the Don Callis family, and apparently it was made known by Ricochet that as of last month, someone's contract with the Don Callis family was up. They decided not to renew, and Will Hobbs apparently is pretty pissed. And apparently that person was pretty pissed that they didn't renew his contract with the Don Callis, that Don Callis didn't renew his contract with the Don Callis family, and it turned out to be Will Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs. Good match. Mark Davis. Babyfaces won, but the Don Callis family tried to attack the babyfaces after the match. Mark Davis then comes out to help, I'm guessing, and Kyle Fletcher then takes him out. Then the Lance Archer and Brian Cage, they come out. They start attacking. Then all of a sudden, Will Ospreay makes his surprise return ever since All Out. And no, it was what it was. That was good. It was good. And it sort of needed to happen. But it is what it is. After the show went off the other, we got post-show words from Will Ospreay and the Don Callis family. Basically, I'm guessing it is what it is. It was great. It was a hit and miss show. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Some of it was good, but the majority of it was like meh. Like it didn't need to be there. It was good, but it didn't need to be there. And then Friday Night SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown was this week, and it was a great show from start to finish. The opener saw Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso in the ring. Jey was there because he wanted Roman Reigns to hear Sami Zayn out after he invited Sami Zayn to come SmackDown to talk to the Tribal Chief. I loved this segment because it showed Roman Reigns is still trying to adjust the guy without all the power and the guy who isn't able to boss everybody around anymore. Because that's exactly what Jey Uso said was not going to happen, or else he was going to leave Roman to Solo's bloodline. So Sami Zayn made it clear that if Roman Reigns wants all of this back, Jimmy, Jey, Sami, and Roman, the four of them running the show again, that all he has to do is say, "I'm sorry." Roman said, "You want me to apologize to you?" But then Sami said, "No, actually, what I wanted was for you to apologize to Jey, obviously, for all the stuff that he put Jey through as the Tribal Chief." Roman Reigns made it pretty clear, look, you really actually, this guy ain't family, this guy ain't blood, he ain't honorary, he ain't no Uso. Stop wasting my time because it's not about him, it's about Solo. who he demanded come out there, and so they can hash it out. Then all of a sudden, Jacob Fatu shows up on the screen and cuts a little promo on Roman saying, Solo doesn't do things on your time, he does things on his time. And we were getting a tribal chief acknowledgement ceremony in the main event of the show. So obviously we were going to see him, just not when Roman wanted him. Wanted to see him. But it is what it is. We then get Candice LeRae versus Bayley. This was a good, almost 7-minute match that was good, showcased both of the women, and it also showed that Candice LeRae is still part of WWE. And I'm actually glad that they're giving her TV time, because even after they sort of cut the cord with Indy Hartwell, which I thought was a little premature, but it is what it is. It is what it is. She's no longer with WWE. I could see her going to TNA or even AEW. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she goes over to TNA to be with her friend Persia Parada, or whoever, Steph Delander, her friend from NXT. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. This was a good match. Bayley won, which I honestly didn't think was a mystery to me as far as who was going to win this match. We got, after the match though, we got a segment, we got a little backstage moment with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso was a little upset with Roman because he didn't hear Jey out and Sammy out and didn't apologize and whatnot. Roman basically said, oh, why do you care about that? Why do you care about Sammy? If you love Sammy so much, then why don't you just go and find Sammy? Roman Reigns was starting to sound a lot like the tribal chief in this moment, and Jey Uso immediately said, oh, hell no, this ain't how this is gonna work. Okay? I told you how this was gonna work. And I told you that this is not how it was gonna go down, or else I'm out of here, and you can deal with Solo's bloodline on your own with Jimmy, if Jimmy wants to stay. Yeah, Jey is laying down the law that things have to change, and Roman Reigns so far is trying to change, but is also finding it very difficult to not want to be the tribal chief again, to not want to act like the tribal chief again. And that's exactly what Jey does not want. He does not want Roman Reigns reverting back to his old ways, because Jey will not subject himself to that again. And I thought this was great. It's going to take Paul Heyman basically to unite everybody together. When it happens, I'll be here for it. I'll be watching it. We got DIY backstage. DIY was backstage. Well, Johnny Gargano was backstage talking to the Motor City Machine Guns. In comes Tommaso Ciampa. He's fired up because they've been taking a lot of losses recently, and they have not been able to regain the tag team titles. And Ciampa feels like that Motor City Machine Guns just came in and just took their spot. The spot that he believes should have been theirs. And they had a match this week. They had a match last night against Pretty Deadly. Match lasted just over 3 minutes. It was a squash match. Tommaso Ciampa was extremely vicious in this match. He was like getting out all of his frustrations out on Pretty Deadly. And some might say, oh, Pretty Deadly deserves it because all they do is make jokes and they talk their trash, and they deserve to get their ass kicked every once in a while. But then again, sometimes even the biggest of heels don't deserve to get their ass whooped the way Ciampa was beating up on Pretty Deadly. But DIY won. Then we get Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. I did not expect to see Randy Orton on last night's SmackDown. He was there. He was fired up after what happened at Crown Jewel when their match basically didn't happen, and it was just a catalyst for a beatdown, for the beatdown of a lifetime for Randy Orton. Randy Orton wanted Kevin Owens to come out there so he can whip his ass again. Then eventually, Kevin Owens went low and then utilized a banned move, a pile driver. Now I know a lot of people were saying that it wasn't, that his head didn't hit the ground. Kevin Owens had him like 10 feet up in the air. Like, yeah, if you were to hit that pile driver, the way if Kevin Owens had hit that pile driver the way that you normally would, with Roman's head fully connecting with the mat, oh, you would have had a much more serious situation on your hands. Yeah, there's a reason why it's banned, but there's also a reason why when Kevin Owens did it, he made sure not to make sure that Randy Orton's head did not hit the mat. Nowadays, if you're going to perform a pile driver, it shouldn't have full impact. It shouldn't have full impact. It should have some impact, but just not full-on contact with the mat. Because then you might be thinking about neck problems for Randy Orton, which you don't need, because he's already got back problems from that attack the Bloodline gave him no more than 2 years ago. So it is what it is. But it was a great segment. We also got we got an announcement from Nick Aldis. WWE has now unveiled a mid-card title for the women's division, the Women's United States Championship. Now, we don't know whether or not this will be just exclusive to SmackDown or whether they will do it across both brands. What I hope is that this is just one women's mid-card title switching between both brands, which is able to switch between both brands. And if that's the case, I think that's great for the women's division. I don't know if the women's division can sustain 2 mid-card titles, because there's barely enough women nowadays to challenge for the women's and women's world titles. But it is what it is. We also got Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. The babyfaces did win this match, which was to be expected. I kind of didn't think they were going to lose anyways. But it is what it is. It went about 10 minutes. It was a good little match. We also got the Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under. This was about 12 minutes. This was good. This was a good match. This was actually a good match. It went about 12 minutes, which I didn't think it was going to get that long at the time. But it did. Good match. Tag champs win, which I knew was going to happen because you're not going to have Motor City Machine Guns lose often since they literally only just got here. Then the main event, Tribal Chief Acknowledgement Ceremony. Obviously, Roman Reigns interrupted proceedings. He's not done with Solo. He wants a match with Solo where the winner gets to call themselves the undisputed Tribal Chief. Solo's like, you crazy? And then he seemingly hints at War Games. Then Roman Reigns says, I only see 4 of you. And then Solo starts to count. I'm like, oh, great. Good job, Solo. Then Solo Sikoa starts to count, and he announces his 5th member is none other than Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes out. Roman Reigns starts getting beaten down by the Bloodline. Sami gets in the ring. Solo basically tells Sami, kick him, kick his head in. Kick his head in. Think about all the stuff he did to you. Think about all those times he attacked you. Think about all the stuff you went through. But obviously, Sami Zayn decides, nope, I'm not going to do that, and decides to attack Solo instead. Then the Usos come out. It's a whole brawl for all, and basically, at the end of the show, sees Jay, Jimmy, Sammy, and Roman Reigns all putting their ones to the sky, basically confirming that it will be OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline at War Games. Now, if they are looking to do 5-on-5, then I don't know who is going to be the fifth member for Solo's team or who's going to be the fifth member for Roman's team. Recently, we have been made known to the fact that Hikuleo, who is a Bloodline family affiliate member, he has been signed for at least a few months, but they're just waiting for the right time to debut him, which I think is perfect. You don't want to debut somebody just right off the bat with absolutely nothing to do. And also, it was made known recently that Lance Anoa'i, who is an actual member of the Anoa'i family, has been signed for a few months since the summer, but has been dealing with an injury, so that's why he hasn't shown up yet. So I don't know what's going to happen. There've even been rumors of Zilla Fatu, Umaga's son, joining, but we won't know what happens until it gets closer to Survivor Series. But SmackDown was another great show. If I had to rate it, it would be an 8 out of 10 because it was literally that good. Not perfect, but it was a great show. And so that's it for you guys. That's it for me. I will see you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this. And until next time, I will see y'all later. Peace.